Welcome Eorzean fans of rankings and job balance. Since we got a new patch, it is time for another tier list again. At the point I'm writing this script and start producing its video, the advanced combat tracker is still not working, so please see this video as an estimation with the data I got from the last patch, the new gear, the new raid bosses and 5.2 job changes. That still should provide a solid assessment for balancing in this patch. Why the hell am I doing this video when ACT is not available? Because that situation also prevents me from doing other videos that definitely need ACT running, like the promised power tests for caster jobs for example. Therefore, let us start into the subject with something that hasn't changed a lot: tanking jobs. The only change we have seen to Warrior were the fitting home gang duration in a subsequent patch to 5.1 and now having a slightly stronger shake it off shield. On the other hand, like I predicted in my last tiers video, when improving gear we definitely see a bigger boost to the Warrior as we see for other tanks, and his bulky tanking style being very strong at personal mitigation. This makes him a very solid and strong tank at the moment, especially when bringing in the anti-tank buster ability with the shortest cooldown that can take an insane lead on long fighting durations. Note that most early Savage proc groups have offered one tanking spot for the Warrior. He definitely is an A tier, not being significantly stronger than the other tanks, but having reclaimed his value in this tier. Dark Knight and Gunbreaker seem to perform very evenly this tier, and did so as well on the end of the last one, both having a very strong DPS potential, but differing mostly through their oh shit ability. The one of the Dark Knight is heavily demanding for your healers, as it needs to be healed up to survive the suicidal tendencies, but therefore having a very long lasting effect duration, where you don't need the precise timing of the other tanks. On the other hand, the Gunbreaker Super Bolide shares the duration of Home and Hallowed Ground, but therefore combines both effects and is very healer friendly, because healers can start healing as soon as Super Bolide has been activated. The downside is the big CD, coming near to the Hallowed Ground cooldown, and the kill yourself moment when healers time their lifesaver heal just a second before you have used it. Nonetheless, both perform on a solid DPS level, and don't fall behind the Warrior. At least they don't do in casual content or not hardcore Savage progression, where compositions don't matter that much. Both being a solid A rank as well, with tendencies to B maybe. The Paladin is another topic. While being a not so popular choice for recent Eden's vs Savage compositions that mostly comes from Hallowed Ground insanely long cooldown, on all other departments the Paladin combines the power of its competition and utilizes its effectiveness brilliantly. Especially in casual or solo content, you can be a game changer to some encounters and make the deal only by yourself. For example, streamers like Pharos made a whole new challenge out of the Paladin's versatility, climbing up the Heaven on High completely on their own, creating a whole solo deep dungeon community, which is awesome. Therefore, and with keeping in mind that the actual tank balance is phenomenal, the Paladin still isn't stronger on hardcore progression or speed kill variants, but with the casual and solo bonus, he should definitely lean towards the S rank, at least slightly. Coming to the ranged physical DPS. What can I say here? These are unfortunate times for unfortunate jobs, I must admit. First of all, let me say that we got 2 Savage encounters with multi-dot and cleaving potential. That means on the Bard and Dancer department we kinda see a very solid performance, and this fact would drag them into a solid meta position, as their support affects our killer job's DPS significantly. Especially, the Dancer can turn a single party member into the deadliest weapon against your opponent. Although providing a good support and some sort of compository requirement to bring them with your party, they still lack DPS compared to our top scorers in most melee jobs. That was the case and will be the case, because no changes have been made to the range department. That means I would rank the Bard on B, just because of the big DPS disparity it has against the competition. The same goes for the Dancer, but it actually performs with a stronger support, especially with the Samurai or Summoner. Things can go crazy, and if there's any cleaving stuff or instant target switches, the Dancer is ultimately flexible, so making the A rank by having a very potent support that increases with gear progression and the strength of other jobs significantly. Things look different for the Machinist, unfortunately. While his personal DPS and also our DPS is stronger as that of Dancer and Bard, It loses too many points against Summoner and else, that you could easily favor any melee or caster job over taking a machinist with you, except fights will turn into dancing battles with insane movement sequences. He's a ranged supporter without support, other than tactician, so I cannot give him a stronger position than B, leaning towards C a bit. Okay, to the more positive section. Let us cover healing powers. As I have finished my healing job guides just some weeks ago, I can definitely say that the balancing in this section is very good, only with little differences that we need to take into account. First of all, we got the Scholar, that definitely lacks some versatility compared to its healing competition. Nonetheless, we see it favored over Astrologian in most proc and speed savage compositions, which mainly comes from the fact that its synergy with White Mage is a bit inside of an advantage against the Astrologian, whose Nocturnal Sect is definitely in a disadvantage against healing with Diurnal Hots. This and only this is the fact we will put Scholar on the same level with the Astrologian, both heading for a solid A rank, because you can easily choose each healing composition, while avoiding double job comps. The reason for all this weird placement is the White Mage. If you could only have 2 healing jobs with Astrologian and Scholar, the card healing would beat fairy healing, but through the definite position of the White Mage, Scholar just works better in that combination. You actually won't see many groups having no White Mage with them, because of that insane personal DPS and group heal. Still, on a really competitive and expert level, healers don't stand in big disparities, so I cannot grant White Mage the S rank, but a slight lean towards it. It is only fitting to all the power White Magic received in Shadowbringers. It seems that where there's shadow, there must be light. On the melee department, we have 4 jobs again, which means things get a bit more complicated. So let us start with the ninja. I really like the 5.1 changes made to its combat system, making you feel positively busy when playing the job. At this point I definitely have to give props to Yoshi and his team, because those jobs feel very differently in their playstyle through having very unique job designs like the Jutsu system, the Eye of the Dragon, channeled melee Zen attacks or the chakra and form design. Nonetheless, I would rank Ninja on the last spot of melee jobs. I may not have invested the required amount of time into that job to speak an appropriate judgment, but as I have already experienced many situations with ninjas failing their rotations and not bringing a solid uptime onto the boss, this provided a different picture on the Dragoon side of things. But the strongest feature that grants the lead of the Dragoon here is that Battle Litany is ultimately progressive and earns significant gains in value when gear progresses onwards due to higher critical values. This, and having place only for one true floor tank, I would consider Dragoon as the slightly better choice. The Monk on the other hand has a very impressive high-end power level, which means if there are some special experts out there who figure out how to master the fist, Monk can be a much powerful weapon than Dragoon and Ninja are. But even if I don't like to take skill requirements into consideration, the Monk experts are so rarely spread across Eorzea that you see many more samurais performing on a solid high DPS level than monks that actually play the game. Still, I have to admit that I cannot deny its potential, and when maxed out and playing mechanics perfectly, the Monk can become the samurai with remaining support, leaving Monk on a solid A position. The same thing goes for Dragoon. He may lack personal DPS compared to our top scorers, Summoner, Black Mage and Samurai, but his support will become stronger for each tier progression we get. So compared to 5.1, the Dragoon will automatically improve in 5.2, but I would still rank its value onto the A rank position. But we will see how much this progressive battle litany becomes a strength to power up its allies. Maybe I will readdress this decision on later patches. That means we got another melee job left, the Samurai. While the Samurai brings no support to the table, its personal DPS is the strongest in the game, at least when considering a reasonable movement advantage over its competitor the Black Mage. According to game design, it's no design flaw that Samurai beats its competition, but to compensate this fact, support should be a stronger value to overall DPS of your group, but in some situations it cannot make up for the Samurai's power advantage. For instance, a Bard will never compensate the DPS fallback it has to the Edgemaster's power. Above that, when being chosen by a dancer support, the Samurai becomes the ultimate weapon of destruction, only being overpowered by a single job, but more to that later. he still cannot beat its role competition to take over a higher tier position, but it will definitely lean towards the S tier. Des, don't spend so much time on jobs that didn't receive changes, or at least no significant changes. Let us start the interesting caster section with the Red Mage. I really think the potency boost can make a difference and turn the Red Mage into a real threat to our Master of Explosions. While falling behind in 5.1 due to some missing potential, the Red Mage brings the important advantage of having no need to rebuild strategies for certain encounters. Sorry, but to be honest and to reveal the tricks of speed kill and parsing experts, if you want to grant your party's Black Mage the chance to perform on a serious level, you definitely need to rearrange certain combat mechanics, create stationary uptime improvements, let your tank choose different tanking locations, and enlighten your healers to a new form of adjustment level, always needing to keep an eye on their Black Mage. Even if on paper, the Black Mage may still have the better numbers, the Red Mage has raising tools that are marvelous for progging in content or helping other party members with little mistakes or else. As I cannot figure out the actual strength of the Red Mage, still it feels more powerful than before, being able to minimize the gap to Black Magic. Nonetheless, Black Magic, although being dependent on its player to be a master of his spellcasting arts, the potential is available, and within its possibilities, it still will outperform the Red Mage on paper. But on early proc for beginners or just for a very solid DPS result to bring to your group, the Red Mage is well built and sturdy to defy any demotion onto a lower rank, especially when being more versatile and potent than its ranged physical counterparts mostly. Both deserving an A rank still, unless those Flash, Jolt 2 and Contre buffs make such a difference that Black Magic is put on a close DPS level. So why are Black Mage and Samurai, the most powerful jobs in personal DPS, not getting this S rank? You said support cannot compensate for the missing DPS to hardliner DPS. Normally, this would be the case, but we have the unfaithful child of Asian meddling filled with Dragonborn energy, the Summoner. The Summoner's personal DPS is so close to the Black Mage's and Samurai's potential that its 5% DPS boost to its group through devotion, its raising capabilities and its ultimate combat flexibility will easily close that gap and even overcome the two sources of power. Above that, the Summoner will always become stronger when there are encounters with multi-dot potential, and as that is the case for Eden 6 and 7, while also having access to very strong crafted and Crystarium gear, the Summoner becomes the absolute must-have DPS for your group. Creating compositions without our Dreadworm caster is simply a waste of potential. Don't think me biased, I think I could parse logs on the same level with Red Mage as I do with my Summoner. But if I would try, the Summoner still would outperform with a better result, and nerving its dots by 5 potency per tick for Miasma and Bio won't close the gap, just decrease its size. So as the balancing is actually very good right now, it seems we only got one small brick in the wall. The Summoner, being a lone S rank position. Okay guys, it is a tier list made without recent advanced combat tracker data or mathematical potency analysis. So feel free to correct me and especially tell me about your own and personal opinion inside the comment section. I'm excited to hear about your own tier ranking or any ideas to make a change for the next patch. As always, I hope to not have wasted your time and you could get a solid glimpse of the Final Fantasy XIV's job balance in 5.2. And I will keep you updated with more detailed role comparison videos as soon as we got ACT running again. Keep the hype, keep up the fight and enjoy the job you love. Each and every content can and will be cleared by any job. Thank you guys for watching and see you inside my job power test in the upcoming days. Until then, take care and keep loving Final Fantasy.